Oh, technology. Technology and I have a love strangle relationship. So I just did an entire powerful deep dive for 20 plus minutes on BeLive TV and realized completely crapped out. So I'm going to do it again because I feel so strongly about this topic and I was on a roll and you guys missed out on it. So I'm just going to redo it because this is sometimes what you have to do to operate in a technological world. Oh, BeLive TV. Okay. So welcome to the Thursday Throwdown. I'm so glad you're here. If you are brand new to me, my name is Kelly Ruta. I was a therapist, a psychotherapist for over 2 decades, and I answered the calling to rise, to contribute in a different way, to show up in a bigger, bolder way, and to serve in a bigger, bolder way about 4 years ago. So I am here now working as a mentor, a coach, and a speaker for really women who want to bravely and boldly show up. And I'm using a new phrase because I love this phrase so much. A friend gave it to me the other day. She said, "This is what you do. Bravely and boldly teach you how to become the intentional architect of your dreams, of your life, so that you do not end up being a tragic statistic like most people, which is coming to the end of your life with the unlived life, as Stephen Pressfield calls it, lying next to you as you take your last breath." That to me is the greatest tragedy ever. And one of the reasons that this happens is because we have not been taught how to be in a relationship, a healthy relationship with fear. We've been taught that fearlessness is what is required. And I say bullshit. I say that is absolutely unnecessary, untrue, and actually even dangerous. I believe in this so much that I'm actually writing a book called Build Your Brave, because I believe in the power of bravery and courage far over trying to do whatever you have to do to be fearless. That's marketing tactic, fearlessness. Being brave and courageous is what is required of women now to answer to the call to rise, which I don't know if you've acknowledged it, but that's exactly what's being asked of women right now. So today, I want to talk to you about a question that I get quite often. And that question is, "Hey, Kelly, I know that living a fear-based life, running a fear-based career, running a fear-based business, being in fear-based relationships is not good for me. I know it's unhealthy for me. I know it's not the way to live. I know it's not the way to go. But the truth is some things are actually really dangerous." And I want to address that question today. Well, that was a statement. The question is, so what do you do? How do you know? What's the difference? And I think this is a really powerful conversation, so much so that I'm creating an entire masterclass about this, because too many of you are treating your fears as if they are real dangers. Now, here's a really kind of almost obscenely concrete, blatant example. But if you were to go to the zoo and you were to hop over the barrier that stands between the public and the lion's den, you would almost with 100% certainty end up injured or dead. And if you were to consider making that jump and then actually make that jump, your mind would trigger in your body a massive fear response as a way to try to deter you from putting yourself in a predictably dangerous situation that the likelihood you would come out of it intact, very, very small, okay? The problem is the mind does not know the difference between you actually kind of jumping over into the lion's den and you playing out all of your fear stories in your mind to their catastrophic end, which, let's face it, is what most people do. We carry with us subconsciously programmed beliefs about things that we should be afraid of, cultural messages about what we should be afraid of, things passed down in a familial way through our family about what we should be afraid of, and also fear from our own past personal experiences that tell us this thing happened, so now you should be afraid forever about it happening again. Now, I'm not going to tell you that those things, those stories in your mind, that the catastrophic outcome is impossible, because I'd be lying to you. Even when my children were little and they would share with me their deep fear about something happening to me or their dad or something happening to them, I never lied to them. I never said to them, honey, that's impossible. That'll never happen, because that is a lie and it is untrue. What I did was have conversations with them that armed them in a positive way to become resilient should the worst case scenario happen. Now, if you're like me, the worst case scenario has happened. Something traumatic, something violent, something that leaves you grief-stricken, something that leaves you ill, something that leaves you traumatized has already happened to you. And what your mind does with that is it says, holy shit, the worst case scenario happened. And so now you know that this is a looming threat all the time because it's already happened. So in this insidious way, it feeds fear into every risk that you take moving forward, because the message that plays out is the worst can happen, the worst can happen, the worst can happen. And so your mind will trigger in your body the same response as when the worst thing happened, or as if you were jumping into the lion's den. And from those past experiences, you create all kinds of fear stories. When the truth is, the likelihood that the worst case scenario is going to happen to you ever or again is very slim. But the mind acts as if it's going to happen 5 minutes from now, every single day. And this gets triggered when you go to do the big, bold, brave things that stretch you outside of your comfort zone, that stretch you into your potential, that cause expansion and evolution in yourself, in your relationships, in your work, in your life in general. The ego, that part of your personality that loves the comfort zone, that loves the status quo, is going to tell you every fear story it knows to keep you right where you are today. Now, if where you are today is living the dream, then you can X out right now. You can close this Facebook Live right now. But if you're like most people, you're yearning for the dream, the unlived life. You want that dream to be your new normal. And you cannot get there living, feeling, deciding, acting from fear stories, from programmed in fear beliefs. So if you treat vulnerability in relationships, if you treat taking risks in business or in your corporate career or in whatever your work in the world is, if you take doing the work on yourself to stretch you outside of where you really are now, if you treat all that internally as if it's jumping into the lion's den, you'll never do it. You'll never do it. And you've got to understand, fear, not real. Danger, real. Now, it doesn't mean the feeling of fear isn't a true, real thing. It means you've got to be discerning and call BS, be able to call BS on what is real and tangible and probable and what is not. What's based on a limiting belief, a conscious story you keep playing out in your head. And believe me, the average person is thinking the same exact thoughts today that they were thinking yesterday, that they were thinking last week, last month, even 5 years ago. Very few people are doing the work to break the conscious thought patterns or to reprogram their subconscious minds or to learn how to deal with their ego or to learn how to create new habits that build a new normal. And you can't change those things if what you do is put your attention, almost like gasoline on the fire, on your fear stories and give them power over you, because your fear stories then will lead to fear-based decisions. They usually don't work out too well for you. And so you've got to be able to say, I am afraid, and yet I am making my decisions and getting into action from a very different place. Because fear is coming from your ego mind. Your ego mind is not what is connected to infinite intelligence and infinite consciousness and infinite possibility. Your subconscious mind, your inner being, is what's connected to that. So you can operate from your ego, which most people do all day long, in both overt and covert ways, or you can operate from a connection to a much deeper, wiser place. Those two places do not exist in the same sphere. And so if you are at a place where you are yearning for that life that is yet unlived, and all the components of that, the pieces that are about relationship, the pieces that are about health and wellness or intimacy in relationships or spirituality or money or experiences, whatever. If you're yearning for that and you don't yet have it, it's time for you to face and get very self-aware about your fear-based stories, your fear-based programming, and your fear-based habits. Change those three things and you will create a new normal. Now, that new normal does not mean you will not feel fear. It is part of the human condition. And I encourage you to acknowledge your fear when it arises. You don't have to kick its ass. You don't have to get rid of it. You don't have to be devoid of fear. That's such a bullshit paradigm that cuts people off from their humanity. What you learn how to do is feel your fear and make your decisions from a very different place. That is true empowerment. That is true connection to yourself. That is bravery and courage. That's what the world needs from us right now. So today, just for a quick review, there's a difference between fear and danger. There is rational fear, which is connected to, if I put my hand in that boiling water, there's 100% chance I'm going to get a burn. If I jump in front of a speeding car, there is 100% chance I'm going to get injured and I might not live. And the rest, which is irrational fear, fear based on beliefs that were programmed in, often when we are very young, fear based on things we think about that our culture, our family, our friends tell us we should be afraid of, and fear based on past experience that somehow dictates to us that that is going to be our future experience and tells us this bullshit story that we're not going to survive it. Guess what? If you're like me and you've been through something traumatic and you're watching this right now, you won already. You won. You're still fucking here. So the fear story is already full of BS. And it's up to you whether you are going to discipline your conscious mind enough not to let those stories run rampant and do the work to shift your subconscious program, rewire that programming in your mind and your brain, and then create new habits that then in a holistic way bring you a new normal, or you're not. And I'm going to bring you in just a few short weeks after I get back from vacation a way to learn how to do this. I'm going to offer a brand new masterclass on this, and then I'm going to offer a way for you to do the work for a handful of weeks in a very laser focused way with me so that you shift all of those things, reclaim your power, and start living that unlived life. So if that sounds something that answers your prayers, is exactly what you've been looking for, is what you've been hoping for. That you know you need that skill set so that you can bring your dreams to fruition, then stay tuned. There's more coming after I get back from the beach. So I'm going to go back to what I was doing and get to packing my shorts and bathing suit and my sunscreen. And I will catch up with you after I get back from vacation with more on this to come. All right, everybody, sending you off with much love into your day.